We're talking with Chris Hedges. We're discussing his latest book, America, the Farewell Tour. When you predict, or at least speculate upon the likely demise of the American empire within another decade or two, what do you foresee as the next step? Who fills that void?
I'm concerned that for those of us who do care about an open society, we're so weak. Our voices have been shut out, our organizations have been destroyed, our consciousness. I mean, I think many people just aren't even capable of having the discussions about class, about capitalism. And we have seen the rise of very powerful proto-fascist movements such as the Christian right. And I don't use the word fascist lightly. I graduated from seminary. I grew up in a religious household. My father was a minister. My mother was a seminary graduate. So I come steeped in the kind of liberal, left-wing religious tradition.
And you are yourself an ordained
I am.
minister.
I don't broadcast that too much, but it is true. Yes, I am.
Yes, indeed.
So for me, these are Christian heretics. They have fused the iconography and language of the Christian religion with the iconography and language of the state. They've sacralized the worst aspects of American imperialism, chauvinism, white supremacy, and capitalism. And we saw a very similar movement in Nazi Germany with the so-called German Christian Church, which did the same thing. You had the Christian cross on one side, the Nazi flag on another. And having spent 2 years writing about them in my book, American Fascists, The Christian Right and the War in America, I came to see them as our version of fascism. Fascism always speaks, as Robert Paxton points out in Anatomy of Fascism, it uses familiar myths and symbols. I mean, for instance, in Mussolini's fascism, he kept hearkening back to the Roman Empire, that he was the legacy of the Roman Empire. He didn't portray it with the Teutonic kind of myths that the Nazis embraced. And that is our form of fascism. And so Trump, who has no ideology, that's an ideological void, we're watching, and Pence, this is why Noam Chomsky says, be careful if you get rid of Trump, because Michael Pence is worse.
As a matter of fact, I want to ask you to hold that there, because we are going to talk some more about Pence and the Christian right and dominionism, the rise of dominionism, and what that actually means. But there is a passage that I found particularly striking on page 43 of the book, in which you talk about this moment in history and what it means. If you will, I'd like you to read that paragraph for me.
This moment in history marks the end of a long, sad tale of greed and murder by the white races. It is inevitable that for the final show, we vomited up a figure like Trump. Europeans and Americans have spent 5 centuries conquering, plundering, exploiting, and polluting the earth in the name of human progress. They use their technological superiority to create the most efficient killing machines on the planet, directed against anyone and anything, especially indigenous cultures, which stood in their way. They stole and hoarded the planet's wealth and resources. They believed that this orgy of blood and gold would never end, and they still believe it. They do not understand that the dark ethic of ceaseless capitalist and imperialist expansion is dooming the exploiters as well as the exploited. But even as we stand on the cusp of extinction, we lack the intelligence and imagination to break free from our evolutionary past. As the warning signs become more palpable, rising temperatures, global financial meltdowns, mass human migrations, endless war, poisoned ecosystems, rampant corruption among the ruling class, we turn to those who chant, either through idiocy or cynicism, the mantra that what worked in the past will work in the future. Factual evidence, since it is impediment to what we desire, is banished.